You are listening to JosuBroadcast, Episode 5, The Simulation Video Games. Welcome to my podcast, where there are good vibes, love, and it's only for nice people like you. In this episode, I'm going to tell you why simulation video games can be better than schools in the future. Do you know there are categories for video games such as shooting, adventure, sports, multiplayer, horror, platform, strategy, fighting, and simulation games, which is the one I want to talk? Basically, there is a category for everyone. Some of them may have age restriction. Playing video games is like watching a movie. There are movies for kids, teenagers, and adults, right? The same happens with video games. At some point in my life, I have believed that video games were a waste of time. Back in my crisis days, of course. But now I use video games to practice English. Anyway, a few days ago, I was watching Twitch, and I found a unique simulation video game called PC Building Simulator 2. It seems an educational game to me, where you practice how to build and fix a computer. It's very accurate, plus you actually have customers. I realized these type of games are not regular games. They are becoming an educational thing. They can be the future. You can learn a profession while you play the game. Since then, I have been thinking of what simulation games I had played before that I could have learned something. I have used Duolingo to learn English vocabulary a few years ago. But that's an educational app. That's different than video games. By the way, if you want to learn vocabulary and grammar tips from many languages, Duolingo is the best app. There may be other educational apps, not just for languages. Feel free to make your own research. But talking about an actual simulation game where you use a controller or mouse, I remember a few games, for example, Chefville, that was on Facebook back in 2012. What a great game. The good days I had with that game. You were supposed to be the owner of a restaurant. You had a garden to grow vegetables in order to use them in your recipes, but it feels the game was more focused on how to manage the resources and money than cooking. Somehow it was educational. Besides that one, I had played other simulation games like Fitness Boxing 2 and Pokemon Snap for Nintendo Switch. Fitness Boxing 2 is an exercising simulator game that I play every other day. It may not be an educational video game, but it's good for exercising. It teaches how to throw punches and to have a good feet coordination, but as the name says, it's just a fitness game. It's far away from learning how to fight in real life. It could be a good start for someone who wants to learn the basic boxing. And the last simulator game I had played is Pokemon Snap. You are a photographer who travels in some islands to discover new Pokemons by taking pictures in the wild. At first sight, it looks boring because there is no action, no battles, you don't catch Pokemons but take pictures of them. What could we learn from this game? The thing is, if we change the point of view and we see it as an educational video game, it becomes fascinating. Being a photographer is a profession, and by playing Pokemon Snap, you may learn some skills and qualities such as being creative while taking photos in different environments, having good imagination by seeing how the Pokemon behave in their natural habitat. If we think about it, that's what happens with animals in the wild. And also, you may feel like going to hiking and to have a connection with nature. Not all video games will make you feel like going outside. See, hobbies and video games are important in our life. Am I the only one who thinks that simulation video games are the future? Are we living the future already? Is this something that everybody knew, but I didn't notice before? Video games have changed this generation and it will keep growing. There are many simulation games. Some of them may be or may not be educational games. Feel free to search them online. I have seen Mechanic Simulator, Internet Cafe Simulator, Cooking Simulator, Bus Simulator, and there might be more. One time, I found a particular one. The main point of the video game was going outside and touch the grass. It was funny. And this is it for today. My advice is, just be careful with video games addictions. Know your limits. Take a rest. Enjoy learning in school and by playing some video games. If you listened to the whole episode, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Next time you see someone playing video games, think about it. That person may be learning something, but not everybody sees it. Do you think schools will disappear due to simulator games in the future? Have you learned something from a simulator game? Let me know in the comments. Have a fantastic day. Take care. Thank you for listening to this episode. This podcast is available on Spotify and Google Podcast. You can find me on all social media like Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube as JosuBroadcast. I have TikTok and Instagram, but I use them to share short videos about each episode. See you then.